Hi everyone, welcome to Potluck Food Talks. I'm here with Phil, and today we're going to talk about, animal bodies.
Animal bodies.
Animal body parts.
You couldn't have said that more like a psychopath.
Pieces of edible dead animals. No. Should I start again?
No, this is great. This is perfect. This is just what people tune in for. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about nose to tail cooking, no?
Yeah.
And because there's so much to talk about, we kind of thought that we'd talk about the upper parts, as sort of like what, waist up?
Yeah, like we could start with the head.
Yeah.
You remember that one time where we bought a pig's head and we cooked it at home?
Yeah. I remember that. It was really cool. It was really I don't even remember where we got it from. We had to pre-order it.
Yeah, it was like a super specific butchery in Berlin. But I also forgot the name of the place.
I remember we braised it with like a little bit of beer, and it ended up being super delicious.
Yeah, I remember apple juice also, and lots of vegetables. That's what I remember.
I remember we were with a friend of yours, and he kept talking about how the gums were like a delicacy. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, I've also heard about that.
Which I've never encountered afterwards. Nobody ever said that.
No, and I think it's bullshit, honestly.
I think he was full of shit in a lot of things that he said, actually looking back.
Yeah. So, but also we could break the whole head into many different parts. If we talk about nose to tail cooking, I mean, first thing that comes to my mind is the pig's ear that has become like a thing here in Spain and specifically in the Basque Country.
It's true, it has become a thing, hasn't it? Yeah. You think Borderberry is partially responsible for the pig's ear craze?
I don't know. Maybe. No idea.
Yeah.
There is a lot of nose to tail culture here in Spain.
That's true.
Yeah, and there are restaurants that specializes in these kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, the pig is really a very wonderful animal, especially, like really full-grown pigs. They're massive. There's so much to them. And it's such a noble pursuit to use every single part of the animal, for a sustainability point of view, obviously, and out of respect for the sacrifice of the animal giving its life so that you can eat pork crackling. But it's also really fun, I think, like it's such a diversity. I mean, like you said, just in the head, you have the cheeks, you have loads of like meat regions over the forehead and the temple. You have the snout, which is amazing. You have the ears,
brain, tongue.
The jowl is an amazing part of the animal, which is just down at the jawline. Yeah, and like you said, brain, tongue. Yeah, it's amazing.
Have you cooked brains? I think I have never cooked pig's brain, to be honest.
Pig's brains, not so much. Veal brains, yes. Pig's brains are a little bit funkier, and like you can make like a spread out of them, which is, which can be quite nice, but usually it's not something that I use. But veal brains are very nice. There used to be a time where they were really sort of like people were raving about brains in Paris. There was this dish everywhere of like poached sauteed veal brains with like a lemon butter sauce. I'm sure you saw that.
I had that at Le Bagatan.
Really?
Yeah, it was super nice. What is it? Is that veal brain? Yeah, right?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember it was just, they would say brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember it was amazing. And that place is really nice.
That place is super nice, yeah. Tongue is amazing.
I like more cow's tongue, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's like a nice cut.
For sure. I mean, in Mexico, that was amazing, like I love the tacos de cabeza, where you have all the different pieces, the cheeks, and, the tongue, especially for me, were the two main ones. The cheeks, like super gelatinous and kind of sticky almost, and just really falling apart. And the tongue, tongue, when it's cooked nicely, is one of my favorite cuts for sure.
It's super nice. Yeah, for me too. Yeah.
But pig's head, also one of my favorite things. I think a pig's head is so wonderful and so underrated. Just half a pig's head, braised down really nicely. They had this, what I really like to do with pig's head is make them into croquettes,
Yeah.
So you braise it down, you pick off, once it's super, super cooked down, you take off all the meat and shred it. And then you take the fat sections and dice it really finely. You mix that together. And then you take a little bit of the liquid, which has a lot of the gelatin from the pig's head. And then I season it with a fair amount of white vinegar to cut through the fat and give it a real spike, and loads of fresh herbs and a little bit of mustard. And then I let it set. And out of that, I make little croquettes and just pan them and deep fry them. And it's super delicious. It's really, really nice.
I remember in Margot, they had this, they call it croquettes, but it was this French version. And it was made with different, very gelatinous cuts of meat, and they were built into this terrine, and this was then fried. That restaurant had really nice charcuterie and old school French braising sauces and this kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember we used to make this out of calf's heads. We used to poach them and make like a terrine out of a calf's head, because it also has so much gelatin that if you take the poaching liquid and season the meat with it, it just kind of sets by itself. And I don't really remember what we were serving it with, but I remember this terrine very well, because we used to have lots of offcuts. And for staff meal, often we used to make a risotto and then put all the calf's head offcuts into the risotto, which would turn into this very sticky, rich risotto that was very delicious in the beginning for the first 3-4 bites. But then as it cooled down, it would get so rich and it would start sticking your lips together while you were eating it. And it's just really looking back at it, it's kind of the worst thing you can eat before cooking a very busy service in a fine dining restaurant. It's just calf's head risotto, just a block of gelatin. It's yeah, great.
What about sweetbreads? That's one of my favorite, strange cuts, because it's not something that you find in any butchery, not at all.
Yeah, not at all. You really don't find it anywhere. You don't even find it on menus anymore either. I wonder why, because sweetbreads are very nice. The thing is that I don't think a lot of people know how to prepare them properly, And also it's not probably not as commercial. It's more like a problem than, there's not such a high demand for sure. Yeah.
But it's one of my favorite cuts. It has to be in my top 5 for sure.
It's really, really nice. Yeah. I don't even remember when the last time was that I ate sweetbreads or that I worked with sweetbreads. Actually, it should be something that should make a comeback, because sweetbreads, properly prepared, probably cleaned, and then, cooked just right, so that they're nicely pink all the way through, not overcooked, but not sometimes I hate it when, this is also the thing, it's really easy to fuck sweetbreads up. People are too scared to overcook them, and so they'll really undercook them, and then it's disgusting. I feel you have it's kind of like fish, really delicate fish. You have a really small window where it's really delicious, and if you miss that window, it's disgusting.
Exactly. You don't want you don't want your fish to be fishy or smelly,
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. For me, they have to be completely juicy on the inside, and however you make them, they have to be crispy on the outside. For me, that's the perfect way in its millions of ways to do that,
Yeah, for sure.
With a starch, with, grilling it, frying them.
Yeah, I remember I used to have to grill sweetbreads and in Mugaritz, and they would always, grilling sweetbreads is not really a very great idea, because they're so delicate and they just stick to whatever you're putting them on so easily, that it was just always a nightmare. You'd put this little colander on the coals and throw the sweetbreads in and try to get them off. It was horrible. When I think of sweetbreads, I always have to think of this story that my friend Kevin told me of this French chef that he used to work for. And they'd have sweetbreads on the menu, which were sort of crispy fried and then glazed in the sauce. And he would shout at him all right, give me the sweetbreads. I want them crispy and glazed, which is a paradox, because they can't be crispy and glazed at the same time.
Exactly.
Really.
Yeah.
And Kevin was sort of oh, well, chef, that's impossible. How? That's impossible. And he would just be like, just give it to me crispy and glazed.
But there is this culture of like fried chicken glazed and some sauce, which I don't like. Served like that.
You don't like that?
No, I like my fried chicken crispy, not glazed.
Yeah, the thing is, the Koreans, they actually make it in a way where it's still crispy somehow.
Okay.
It's some sort of fucking sorcery, you know? Some sort of, I don't know. I have this very strong sense of admiration and also kind of anger towards them, because I think it's really amazing how they make their fried chicken, but I can't really replicate it very well. So I feel kind of torn. Hey, what about hard?
I think that's like a very non-commercial cut. I think if you put hard on a menu, you won't sell it. And I know this by that's what, in Peru and Bolivia, you have anticuchos, which is usually like a pochette with hearts. And they never say it's hard on the menu because people won't order it,
Really? I mean, I experienced something else because, I spent a lot of time, a few years living in London, where obviously, the famous and wonderful restaurant St. John resides, with one of the, the pioneers of real nose-to-tail cooking, Fergus Henderson, who also wrote the Nose-to-Tail cookbook, super, super influential chef, really wonderful cooking. And in his restaurant, you can find all sorts of cuts from all sorts of animals. But one thing that I always saw on the menu, and which is an absolute favorite of mine, is oxheart. And basically, for people who have never tried oxheart, it is just like very, very tasty steak. It's just super delicious. And the way that they do it is kind of like they take the heart, they clean it, and then they freeze it, and then they cut it into thin slices. And then they just sear it super hard, right? Super, super hard, really quickly. And in his restaurant, it's usually served with like watercress salad, just like seared hard watercress in like a nice dressing. And it's so good. It's so delicious. And it kind of makes you wonder why more people don't eat that. It's just an association with it being awful.
I've experienced it many times in different contexts and tables where someone has a problem with having hard.
Yeah.
Or stories from chefs that have put hard on a menu. And also, I think it's a very relatively common thing to see in students to put that on experimental menus and having someone having a problem with it.
Yeah, you need to be careful how you sell it. But, I like it when people are brave and, do these sorts of things. It's the same like sweetbreads, I mean, it was like, there was this movie, I think it's like a cliche of like chefs putting sweetbreads on the menu and nobody ordering it, There was a scene in the movie Chef with, what's his name? Where he goes and makes Cubano sandwiches.
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, where in the beginning, he has like an argument with the restaurant owner. And the restaurant owner, is this another sweetbread situation? The chef is like, he gets all ashamed about it, because apparently he put sweetbreads on the menu, nobody ordered it.
And everybody's supposed to know that.
Yeah. But I think the culture is changing, though, a little bit, even here in Berlin, where the food, like the knowledge of food in the like general public is not that, it's not like Paris, where a lot of people know a lot about food. And just a few months ago, I put on a special, which was like a duck offal toast. So we had these really, really nice ducks and we collected all the offal from them, the hearts, the stomachs, the livers, super, super exceptional quality. And we made like a little toast that we soaked in duck jus and made a little like anticucho skewer of all the offal, grilled it, glazed it with like this tasty thing, like Szechuan pepper from our garden, and put this on top of this toast. Super simple, but like really, really tasty. And I was like, okay, well, first day, I was like, I'm going to prepare, 6-7 portions because, we'll see how it sells. First 20 minutes sold out. And I was like, okay, that's great. Next day, I'm going to prepare a little bit more because obviously more people order it than I thought, So I was like, I'll make 15 first seating, everything sold in like the first hour, and pretty much everybody was like, if you're brave enough, and the quality of the cuts is good enough, it's sort of like people are really, really interested in it. So sometimes you just need to be a little bit brave and kind of think about how you approach people with it,
I think Bolivian anticuchos are like a highlight of hard cooking. Like, I don't know exactly how it's made. It's like the heart is like marinated in a super, strong base. And then it's grilled on fire. And then it has like a peanut sauce on top with ají amarillo.
Yeah.
And that's it. And you have millions of versions. But that is something that's different from the Peruvian one. I've seen Peruvians gone like, what is this? Bolivian anticuchos, and like being like really surprised about it.
Yeah.
And this is what a friend was trying to cook like in Barcelona, and he was just serving it and calling it anticuchos. And someone was like, "Yeah, that was really good," and he said, "Yeah, I made it with the heart," and he put his hand in his chest, like.
What's also really nice and also underrated is liver.
Yeah, it's also something like hard to cook nice. It's not easy to cook like a nice liver.
Absolutely. And it has to be really good quality. If it's like something that is sort of like, if you don't have top quality liver, it's like, bleh. For example, in this, from these ducks that we used to get some of them where the liver was almost like a foie gras, just like because they were feeding so well that the liver was almost white. It's super, super nice. And once you like just skewered it, just a little bit of salt and pepper and grilled it really nicely, it would get so plump and juicy and it's just like melt in your mouth. No sort of taste of offal or like, blood or anything. Just really, really delicious.
Yeah. Duck liver is the best liver for me, for sure. What about rabbit? It also has like, what is a common thing to make a terrine with? I think it's kidneys.
Kidneys, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's also really nice, really particular.
Kidneys are also really nice. Kidneys are also really, really difficult to make properly.
Sure.
Because they'll just taste of urine if you don't really know what to do with, But when they're made nicely, they're very, very nice. They're not my favorite, to be honest with you, Then again, in St. John, I had really, really nice kidneys. But they really, Fergus is a big fan of deviled kidneys.
What are deviled kidneys?
Deviled kidneys, they're like in a sort of like spicy sort of sauce. Wow, what's in it? Wait, let me quickly do a very cheap, quick Google to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's like a thick sort of sauce that they're sauteed in. It's made from like tomato puree and mustard and Worcestershire Worcestershire sauce. You know that sauce, the famous sauce, Worcestershire sauce?
I just learned how to pronounce it properly like 2 days ago. I was all my life pronouncing it completely wrong.
How were you pronouncing it?
The way you read it, like Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
How is it properly? Worcestershire.
Worcestershire, yeah.
Worcestershire sauce.
More or less, I guess. I don't know. Okay. I can't claim that I know exactly how it's pronounced.
Man. Yeah, I can sleep for 2 days. Yeah, because I love that sauce.
It's really good. Really, really good.
What about tendon? How do you say tendon?
Tendon.
Tendon. Yeah, I remember there was a dish with tendon and mugaritz.
Yeah, they did a lot with tendon.
You would get like this, rectangle stripes of like a gumminous, gelatinous thing.
Yeah.
That's a particular cut.
Yeah, and it's amazing, I think. I spent a short time living in Hong Kong, and they have, when you go eat certain like noodle soups there, you get a choice of sort of like what meat you ordered with. And it's like very popular. It's like beef brisket, just like very cooked down brisket in a sort of like curry style. But in the same shops, very, very popular is beef tendon. So like beef tendons that are cooked in a sauce for a really, really long time until they're just like melt in your mouth, tender, delicious, gelatinous, and it's super, super nice. It's a really particular, very rich texture.
I'm also remembering another dish in Mugari. It's lamb feet. Yeah, it was lamb feet, completely deboned.
Yeah.
Tenderly cooked, deboned, and then it was glazed in a savory, like a salty toffee.
Oh, yeah.
Super nice. That's like a killer dish, man.
Yeah, that's really nice. I mean, I love trotters. I mean, trotter is classic. The Pierre Kaufman trotter is a classic. Anybody who hasn't watched it should go on YouTube and watch the old Marco Pierre White show where he makes the Pierre Kaufman trotter and serves it to Raymond Blanc. Have you seen it?
Super nice video.
And he's just like, and Raymond is like trying to be super polite, and Marco's just taking a piss out of him the whole time. And Raymond is just kind of like, he'll start eating and he'll be like, well, Marco, this is really delicious. And Marco will be sort of like, it's all right, chef, you don't have to lie for the cameras, And then there's one point where Raymond goes sort of like, well, Marco, thank you very much. And he raises his glass and he's like, to the pig. And Marco's like, what did you just call me?
I don't remember that. I'll have to watch that again.
Yeah, you have to watch it.
I remember having watched all of those Harvey's videos at some point.
That's so good.
Super nice documentaries.
Well, we're kind of moving down the animal anyway, but after you mentioned trotters and stuff, also, this is actually a dark horse, and I don't think that anybody, I've only ever seen it twice. Nobody really uses this, and it's a super nice cut from the pig, and it's the rabitos, the tail.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's relatively common
in Spain.
Here in Spain, yeah.
I've not seen it anywhere else. Anywhere. I saw the technique. I learned the technique of how to make them in Mugaritz, and since then I've not seen it anywhere. But it's really, really nice.
Like the ones of pig tails. That's something I've only seen in Mugaritz.
Yeah.
But like oxtail is relatively common all over Spain.
Ah, yeah, no, that of course. But I mean the pig's tails specifically.
Yeah.
Sous vide them, poach them until they're very tender, cut them open when they're still hot, and take out all those little bones of the spinal cord, and then lay them flat and press them down so that you have one layer of skin and one layer of like thin meat. And then you can just really slowly sear them until the skin is super crispy and the meat is super, super tender. And it's so delicious. We had, I remember, man, what's that restaurant called in Donosti next to the church? I think it's Naru.
Yeah, Naru. You're talking about Naru. They also have, what was it, pig's ear? Yeah, I think they have like a super nice pig's ear with carabineros.
Oh, I think I had it with pig's tail. That's exactly what I was going to say. But yeah, they did it. They had a dish with this, crispy, fatty pork and a carabinero. And I think it was almost like a sort of, was it jus or like a really intense sauce to go with it? This very intense, like gelatinous, meaty broth. And it's like, for me, that's real gourmet cooking, like old school gourmet cooking, crispy, fatty pork.
That restaurant is super nice.
It really, they do it well. They do it really well. It's one of my favorite restaurants there in the area, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean, when we're talking about tails, we can talk about oxtail also,
Oxtail croquetas are really nice.
Oxtail croquetas are amazing. Oxtail is one of the things that I actually cook at home with the most, It's like when I'll see it in a shop, then I'll just buy pretty much all they have and just like make a big brace, just like red wine and nice mirepoix and, a little bit of tomato. And just shred that and just kind of freeze what I'm not using and just have like an oxtail base. And whenever then I don't have anything to eat at home, I can just take out a little bit of oxtail ragu, just heat it up, cook some pasta, throw it in. And it's like super easy, super delicious, and really kind of feel good cooking,
That's it for this week's episode of Potluck Food Talks. If you like what we're doing, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok as Potluck Food Talks. The show airs every Monday.